Notice, in accordance with the new copy regulations, this episode of Quoth Raven is intended for age 16 and up. While some of the content we sometimes feature on the show is kid-friendly, that context of the episode is to address adults and inform them of said content for them to research as consumers in service of their youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well. Rated TV 16 and up. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. This is Wednesday, April 7th. It is What Did You Get This Week? Wednesday. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 29-year comics and science fiction, fantasy, horror, writer, artist, editor, talent scout, and I got a bunch of stuff to show. So let's get right into that real fast. None of these books are going to be reviewed. I'm going to review them on Monday next week. First book is Boom Studios Origins number 6 of 6 by Chapman, Rebecca, and Pecky. Beasts of Burden Occupied Territory number 1 from Dark Horse by Evan Dorkin, Sarah Dyer, Benjamin Dewey, and Nate Picos. From Image, Deep Beyond number 3 by Mirko Andolfo, David Goy. I think it's David Goy. Let me check, make sure. Yeah, David Goy. I thought I remembered. And Andrea Ricardo. From DC, Green Lantern number 1, which is, they don't even have the names of the creators on there, do they? Oh, yeah, they do. Jeffrey Thorne and Dexter Soy are on that one. The penultimate issue of Far Sector, number 11 out of 12, by Nora K. Jemison and Jamal Campbell. Nighthawk Warrior says he shared this out. And Pop Cultural Avenger says good day, and working and watching or working and listening. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. We have Engine Ward number 9. Trying to remember his first name. Yeah, I thought it was George Mann and Joe Eisma. And lastly, this week I bought Heavy Metal number 305, is that? Yeah, 305, with the Frank Frazetta sketch cover. Well, it's not really a sketch cover. It's a sketch of him, by him, I guess, but it's an actual print cover, not a sketch cover as what we call sketch covers today. Just to be clear. So that's what I got this week, but one of our key focuses this week is fanzines. I've said recently that I wanted to cover that more so, and I'll let you guys see some of that. So we're going to do that today. And we're going to start with Endeavor number 14. It's $6, and the publisher is Kurt Erichsen. The contributing writers are Rich Bruning, Kurt Erichsen, Jean-Paul Genequin, David McDonald, Rich Morrissey, Dale Nelson, with artist Rich Bruning, Lance Doc, I think it's Boucher, might be Boucher, I don't remember. I know him, but for some reason I just can't remember how he pronounces his last name. Rick Cruz, Sam De La Rosa, Kurt Erichsen, Winston Jackson, Larry Johnson, Michael Kucharski, Dale Nelson, Neil Riley, Guido Rosas, and Rod Snyder. The genre, of course, is fanzine, and it just came out in April 2021. The ISBN number is, as you can see, listed there, and it is available on Amazon or direct from Kurt at mail@kurterichsen.com. Pop Culture Avenger asked if the Heavy Metal came sealed. Mine did not. I don't know if there is one that is sealed. Mine did not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So who knows? Now, just so you know, this image that you're seeing is kind of I don't want to call it a fixed image. Um, Kurt sent it to me free as a PDF to review. And when I went to try and make graphics for the show, I had to print out the graphic and it didn't come out as clean as I wanted it. So I had to retouch it in Photoshop. So the blue that you're seeing as the border is not the same blue that's actually printed. Just to be clear. What it's about. This Endeavor was a fanzine that was regularly produced back in the 1970s that went went on hiatus back in 77. The producer, Kurt Erichsen, has brought fanzine back after nearly 45 years in stasis. This particular series, 43 years, this content's been sitting in limbo. Printing materials from the originally planned materials from 77 that, so far as to my understanding and knowledge, had not been seen anywhere else. So this is all like an interesting throwback zine. He's going to print them, this scene and possibly another one of even more material for issue number 15 before moving forward with more modern material. This was a very fascinating time capsule fanzine to me. Several of the contributors to this zine would later become well-known professional comics creators, including Richard Rich Bruning and Sam De La Rosa. Richard is the husband of, why can't I think of her name? Vertigo editor. Yeah, Karen Berger. And he also did some stuff for DC as an editor himself. He handled the when DC was doing the digital comic line. He was the head man on that. And Sam De La Rosa went on to be a pretty prominent inker for a while at both DC and Marvel. And there are also a number of historically fanzine Underground Comics members as well, such as Lance Boucher. Again, I think it's Boucher. I don't know why, but I hope I'm right. So this is not only an interesting look back on their work of that era, but it's also a throwback to my own youth, because had this come out when it was originally scheduled in 77, I would have just been 5 years old, and I would have never even thought to have looked at it, of course. But it's kind of interesting because I look at this stuff and I read it, and it kind of takes me back to that time in my life as well. So it's a pretty cool book. There's memoriams to Rob Snyder, Kara Sherman Terreno, Tim Lynch, and Rich Morrissey, who have all passed on since the material was originated. And those memoriams were appreciated. And even though I barely knew most of those folk, and mostly only by their reputation, because I entered fanzine scene much later, back in the early 90s, and only came to meet some of them via the internet yet later still. For me, it's a sort of deep dive, not only into the history of fandom, but of who did what, when, how, where, and why, and how that affected the course of comics industry. Because it has had major effects throughout the decades, as people have often moved from the fanzine market into the professional ranks throughout the decades. Now, I didn't have time to read through every prose work in the zine as thoroughly as I might have liked. But I must say that the overall quality of the fanzine made my inner child very, very happy. Art was very well done, and I would share more of it with you guys, but the PDF format that Kurt sent me just didn't really allow me to do that without printing it and rescanning it. And like I said, the image that you see to the left is a little bit grainy, and the blue border was an approximation that I had to redo the graphic. And I apologize to Kurt because it's not exact for that. It's not an exact representation of what he produced. I didn't want to do that with more images in the book. It is a black and white interior, so just be aware of that. My favorite strips in the fanzine were Dragon Slayer by Kurt and Nick of Time. And right now, for some reason, I don't know why I didn't write down who did Nick of Time. I apologize. I also liked Neil Riley's spot illustrations throughout the book. Absolutely worth the $6 for 90 pages. And again, there's even more content that hadn't been seen apparently that would go into an Endeavor number 15 if the fans demand it before Kurt potentially moves forward. I do encourage fanzine aficionados to check it out. It's money very well spent. Recommended for ages 13 and up. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. What genre does this fanzine cover? It's pretty open. There's fantasy, there's superheroes, there's science fiction in there. Let me see if I can. And it's basically a science fiction comics fanzine. And what I'll do here, if I can, I will share a different screen with you guys in just a second. And this is the Amazon page. Yeah, they just call it a science fiction comics fanzine. This has 14 different stories by Dale Nelson. Again, quite a few people in there. Let me see if I can try to call up the PDF, and if I can call the PDF up, if I can share that. Whoops. It's being funky here. All right. Nighthawk Warrior says he's trying to decide whether he's doing his first comic or your first sketchbook. My advice is do a sketchbook first. So that would be my advice, Nighthawk. John Norris says hello. Hello, John. Pop Culture says looks good. I'll be purchasing it later tonight. Yeah, let me see if I can share a little. I'm going to try and share a little bit more here if I can. There we go. Here's some of the image from the Endeavor piece. This is one of the comic strips. This is Inverted Man with Rich Morrissey script and Neil Riley art. And the Super Bear With Me is John Paul Jeniquin. That the spot illustration of the girl with the rifle is by Neil Riley as well. I do kind of like this image in the middle where it's just the pencils. Like either it wasn't finished completely or it was something done on purpose. I don't know which, but it's interesting that it was left that way. Nice little comic strip about a guy who walks upside down. He's called Inverted Man. Some prose fiction stories in here as well. Kurt Erichsen's Dragon Slayer 1-page comic strip. I like that a lot. Like I said, so there's prose fiction stories and comic strips in here. Another Neil Riley um, spot illustration. Another Neil Riley with Sam De La Rosa inks. Dale Nelson was Nick of Time. So that gives you an idea of what's there, and it's just a really well done um, zine. I'm glad to see something like that. And there's also a UFO checklist. UFO is the United Fanzine Organization, and it's got that in the back there, in near the end. And it's got information on all the creators in the back of the magazine and stuff as well. So quite a bit of cool stuff there. Now the other thing I want to talk about, as soon as I get this closed and restarted here, is Ink Stains, which is Ken Meyer Jr.'s blog on comicattack.net. Now, Ken was a guest on my show a few weeks back, and we talked about his work as general, and he mentioned working on his blog in his most recent issue that just came out at the first of the month. And he has an incredible archive of personal reviews of various fanzines from the 60s, 70s, and 80s at the link you see above on that address, and also at comicattack.net, with PDFs to the fanzines that are downloadable for free. So please do visit his site and, frankly, throw the man some coinage via PayPal or something for all his hard work. 141 columns and counting. I'm just like, yeah. I'm going to be downloading most of these, if not all the PDFs, and geeking out on all that content that I don't have. Anything I don't have, I'm gonna download and look at. So I recommend it for anybody who loves fanzines. 5-star recommendation. And let's take a quick look at that page. And that's what this page looks like on his homepage. And it says, and if you want to read the column, you click on the number. And if you want to download the PDF, you go to the title of the magazine he's talking about. And he gives you an idea of who's appearing in each one of these fanzines. And there's a lot of just amazing artists and stuff to talk about in all of them. So just go ahead and get that and read those for free is just amazing stuff. So kudos to Ken. And like I said, if he's got a PayPal account or some way, just throw him a couple of bucks or something his way, because it's worth it for all the effort he puts into that. Labor of love or not, he deserves a kickback. In fact, all of our fanzine guys, we do it for love, but same thing with Kurt. It's $6 to download from Amazon or to email him. Please check the links down below on the YouTube page. The links are there. You can check them out that way too. You can buy them. Like I said, you can buy them from direct, and it's certainly worth the money to spend and for their time and energy. So, what's going on for the rest of the week? Well, tomorrow we will have What's going on? Something's not right. Okay. Well, tomorrow we're going to have David Hahn, artist of Batman 66 and Impossible Jones 2 and The Dusk will be here tomorrow evening, as well as writer-illustrator Benjamin Morse. And we're going to be talking about Impossible Jones 2 and The Dusk. And those are both David's books. Both are on Kickstarter. And if you back both, they're going to have a extra special gift for backers who back both of those books. And then Benjamin will be talking about his Kickstarter, We Are Scarlet Twilight, and we'll be talking about a book he has coming out with Action Lab as well. So that's tomorrow night at 9 p.m. On Friday night, it will be movie night, and I'll be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984. It's not looking good, folks. I'll be reviewing Final Voyage, which is a science fiction movie. Replicas with Keanu Reeves was a science fiction movie, and maybe another film as well. And then Saturday and Sunday, I will be inking this bad boy, which is Batman versus Predator. Pencils by Peter Vale. So that's what we'll be doing for the rest of the week, folks. And that covers it for tonight. So if you have any questions, you can contact me at Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, at Twitter at LewisBrightRave2, DeviantArt.com/BrightRaven, on YouTube at Quoth Raven, Lewis BrightRaven, Gmail, QuothRavenLBR72 at gmail.com. If you can't reach me at that address, try LewisBrightRaven at yahoo.com. Monday, we will be doing the reviews of the books I just showed you, like the Heavy Metal and Engine Ward and Green Lantern and all that. Wednesday, I'll let you guys know what I'm getting again. Thursday's guests next week have not been finalized, and Friday, depending on what's going on with schedule, I don't know if John will come back next week or not, but I don't think John will be on this week for Friday because I don't think he's seen any of the movies I'm talking about this week. But we'll see what's going on. But again, Saturday is our live draw, Saturdays and Sundays. So that being said, have a good day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow evening.